The purpose of this video is to introduce another tool for your research, the Michigan Electronic Library. At that site you can find academic journals, some really great statistics, and you can access the New York Times articles. So some of you, as you're working on your outline, you might discover a need for some additional information. Maybe as you're going through your introductory paragraph, you're thinking, gosh, I haven't thought about what I'm going to include for that attention-getting lead. Maybe I need to find a story that I can tell or some statistics that will be shocking and create that attention I need for that introductory paragraph. Your background paragraph should be finished, but maybe one of your arguments, you feel like you could find a stronger source, or maybe in the conclusion, you're thinking you want to kind of wrap it up by telling about a story or an additional story that you introduced previously in that intro. So we started our research discussing media literacy, right? And then we started researching the internet to find our information. You guys just finished filling out your source sheets, and you kind of determined if it was a credible source by answering these questions. Of course, we had some absolute yeses and absolute nos, right? It was an absolute no if it was a blog, if they asked for a donation, or if it was Wikipedia. Of course, you can use Wikipedia as a tool, so you could go back and verify that information, but you couldn't use it as a source, so you wouldn't want to have an in-text citation saying Wikipedia. And then we have here the academic journals, which is an absolute yes. So I want to show you how to find those. First, I wanted to explain what an academic journal is. We're finding, source comes from Simon Fraser University. Okay, so an academic journal, they're articles that are written usually by faculty, professors, researchers, scholars, okay? They're a little more challenging to read, so that's why it's kind of nice to start with news sources in the internet. But the one thing that makes them so great is that they're peer-reviewed. So there are multiple people that will go through and they verify every piece of information in there. So you might see, sometimes you do see slight opinions, but usually they're based on and backed up by information. All right, the Michigan Electronic Library, also known as mel.org. All right, so there used to be a few steps to get to the databases. This is what you're going to be looking for, but they've made some changes that have made it a little easier, user-friendly. So you're going to go in. You could search directly in here for information, but we're going to look at the databases, okay? So there's a couple I wanted to show you. For research, these are all alphabetical, okay? But if you go to O for opposing viewpoints, so opposing viewpoints is a database. You might use it as a tool when you're first looking for a topic. But we did make that decision that we wanted to practice our media literacy by working on Google searches, okay? But here they're having some news here telling about the recent launch, which was privately funded, right, for those of you that are working on that, by SpaceX, okay? So we're going to look at some more information. So this is bringing up every piece of information in the database about space exploration. It's a little slow here. Basically, you'll see on the side, it's going to say everything that is listed below, okay? So we have the featured viewpoints, so on and so forth. You're going to see academic journals. For this topic, they have 212 academic journals. You could click on it there or here, right? They're going to come up timely, so the most recent's going to come first. So you might click on that. Okay. Now this is an academic journal. You're going to have interesting information, and again, it's going to all be peer-reviewed. It is going to be lengthy. Okay. One thing that is really nice about it, though, is at the very end, the source citation is already done for you. So you won't need to use EasyBib. You can just go to the end of that piece that you choose, the academic journal that you find useful information, and copy and paste that into your Works Cited page. Okay. All right, so if we go back, we see news articles, 4,843. Okay, we see videos that we can use. You can actually use those, and similarly, they will have a in-text citation for those also. Okay. There's also statistics, so you can click on that, and it brings up interesting information that kind of slow again. Will give you those pieces of information that you might be able to use in your introductory paragraph. Okay, so here we see a graph. It's showing how the federal funding has increased over the years until it has been encouraged more recently. The previous administration was encouraging privatization. Okay, so we still have government funding, but we're encouraging private citizens and a little capitalism to do some additional work. This is an interesting number here, the amount of federal funds that have been used from the beginning in 1960. All right, let's go back. So if you start at the beginning, right, you could look through here, or you could just search. Okay, so let's look at vaccines is another topic some students are working on. So again, you'll get some background knowledge here. We have the academic journals here, the statistics here. Okay. So again, if you were to go into that academic journal, 396, you could click on to see all of them. It's going to have, again, the most recent first. Okay. And if you click on that and go to the bottom, this one's not quite as long. Again, there's your in-text citation, so that part is already done for you. Of course, if you'll notice, this one has more to do with the HPV vaccine, so it might not be useful to you in this case because it's more specific to a particular vaccine. All right, one more thing. You may have noticed that New York Times articles, you can't always access them. New York Times CDC banned words. All right, so this one, when I click on it, it lets me look at it, probably because it's for academic purposes, okay? But if I go back and try this one, as soon as I click in and scroll down, it won't let me look at it, all right? So the cure for that would be going back to the Michigan Electronic Library, going again to the databases, looking for N, and then you can find the New York Times, right? So you could either enter that title in there or just search for the topic and see what comes up. You can change it, right? You have the advanced searches, so you can change it to past week. One thing that we have to do, with many news sources, recognizable news sources, we expect them to follow those standards, 7 standards of journalism. And we also have to make sure that we are not using opinion pieces, right? So here's one. So this is an opinion in the editorial. Again, it might be include factual information, but because of the bias, you wouldn't want to use that as a piece of evidence. All right? All right. To conclude, please use the Michigan Electronic Library if you need to find additional sources. Do look for an academic journal from that topic or some type of statistic, okay?
We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. To quote from Whitman, "O me, O life of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish. What good amid these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists, and identity. That the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. That the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be?